Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. I have a special guest with me, Farbood Nivi, who is the CEO and co-founder of Coinmine. Many of you may have heard of Coinmine or the product Coinmine One, which allows you to easily mine crypto within your home. It's a really beautifully designed product, and Farbood, we're happy to have you. Thank you for being on.
Thanks for having us. It's excited to be here.
Farbood, really cool product. I just recently saw Michael Arrington, the founder of TechCrunch, investor as well, tweeted that he purchased one of those products. But for those who may not know about Coinmine, never heard of it, can you give us an overview of the company, the history, and the product?
Yeah, would love to. Like a lot of people before Coinmine, we were building our own miners at home. We still have miners that we built years ago. Myself, I've been building computers since I was a kid. My first startup was in high school, building computers for friends and family. When we started getting into crypto and decided we wanted to get into, the powering crypto networks side of things, besides just, buying and selling crypto, we just started building our own crypto devices. We started with like a single GPU device and installed Ubuntu and then installed EthOS and, kept those up to date with all the changing software. And, part of what inspired us to start Coinmine was the challenges and struggles we had setting up our own devices, even as people who knew what they were doing. And obviously, not even, 1% of the planet probably knows how to build a computer, sure. Install operating systems, and then probably the toughest part is actually maintaining it because, crypto is constantly changing, right? Yep. So when a new protocol comes out, you have to install new software. When Monero forks, you have to update that. And for some people, building a computer, setting up all that software, maintaining it, indefinitely, takes hours and hours of time. So, the sort of, the value of building a device and maintaining it, it can be different for different people. Some people just enjoy doing that because it's like a hobby and it's just fun to do. So, sure. The time they spend there is sort of fun for them. For some people who, if that's not fun for you, if you value your time, you're essentially, you could be working and generating, money from work, or you could be spending it on building a device. So, we sort of realized that in some ways we can make a crypto device even more valuable because we can add more than just mining, for example, more than just proof of work mining. So the Coinmine does proof of work on a bunch of protocols, Ethereum, Zcash, Monero, Ethereum Classic, Grin. One of the best things about the Coinmine, we think, is that we built the operating system ourselves. So when new protocols come out, it just updates automatically, and now you can access a new protocol instead of putting more work into adding it to your own device, for example, or just missing out on powering crypto networks, especially when they're new and early, and you can sort of earn the most rewards for powering those networks. And then also the device ships with a Lightning node, which we haven't fully turned on yet. That'll happen this year. But it has a full Bitcoin node, and we'll turn Lightning on. We'll offer proof of stake services through the app. We're shooting to add other protocols like Handshake, Cosmos, potentially Dfinity, potentially Tezos. There's a lot more to it than just building an Ethereum mining rig, which is where we started. Sure. Our first devices that we made ourselves were Ethereum rigs. So Coinmine does that, and it does more, and it keeps you up to date with crypto without having to do anything on your part.
Very cool, and I love how convenient it is. The fact, like you said, people sometimes don't have the time or to know how to, okay, I have to go get all these rigs and set it up. And, they may have seen the mining rigs that other professional mining companies have. And it's like, wow, okay, that's intimidating. But you make it easy out of the box and you can set it up. And you mentioned it comes with an app. So is everything controlled through the app?
Yeah, so the app is sort of the remote control for the device. And that's part of what ultimately inspired me to to go after it is I realized that we could make a cool small device that wasn't a whole computer, that didn't need a screen, didn't need an extra keyboard and a mouse and a place where you're controlling this thing. It would just be a device by itself, almost like an Xbox, and we could build an app that would control everything. So again, if you're into building computers and running software and doing things from a terminal, or you can do a lot of this stuff yourself, and if you enjoy it, it's great to do. Part of the reason we built our own rigs at the beginning is because we like doing stuff like that. We knew how to do it. Like I said, I've been doing it my whole life. It was kind of fun. But we realized that to get more people powering more crypto networks, not everybody likes that, and not everybody is able to do it. So we didn't want those people to be left out of powering crypto networks. And one of the things we learned is there are a lot of people that want to do this that just don't have the time or the know-how. And then also I remember like the first couple of rigs that I built myself, I spent more on the hardware than I needed to, because I didn't know what was the least expensive hardware I could get that would still be powerful enough but not take too much energy. So I probably ended up spending almost $1,000 building something that wasn't as capable as a Coinmine, not to mention 20, 30, 40, 50 hours of my time on it as well. So yeah, making it easy for everybody is kind of our goal.
Got it. So maybe a very common question you get asked is, as the crypto is being mined on the device, I'm assuming the app has a wallet, built-in wallet, collects the crypto, and then you can send it or spend it, whatever you want to do with it from there.
Yeah, that's the idea. So we give you wallets to start, and then as you hit a certain threshold, you can either leave that with us or you can move it to a different wallet.
Oh, cool. So I think some other commonly asked questions folks may want to know about is, as far as the amount of energy that it uses, given that I think out there in the world, we know about, crypto mining can be very expensive from an electricity standpoint, but tell me about how, your machine is different and, as far as the cost may be related to it.
Yeah, so energy-wise is something that we worked really hard on to keep it as low energy as we could. And it basically takes the same energy as a PlayStation or an Xbox.
Oh, wow. That's like nothing. I mean, everyone kind of almost has those gaming devices in their home. Wow. Yeah,
we needed it to be something that isn't going to trip your breakers. The first like 8 GPU rig that I built at home, I had to like plug it into 2 different outlets.
Wow.
Because otherwise it would have tripped the breaker. Now 1 GPU rig, if you make it at home, you'll be fine on 1 outlet as well. But to be honest, the first 1 GPU rig I made as well, I think was consuming over almost twice what the Coinmine does. Because again, it's just not something that you need to spend even more time being like, okay, which components do I get that are still powerful enough, but don't take that much energy? Obviously, as an individual, it's tough to spend all that time researching and getting it perfect. We were able to do that. So yeah, like I said, we have the energy down to about a PlayStation or Xbox.
Very cool. So I think my next question is noise. What's the noise level that we can expect from the machine?
So most people can't tell that it's on, to be honest. So it basically makes almost no noise. We did some testing, and it adds about 1 decibel to the ambient room noise of a typical living room.
Got it.
But most people can't tell that it's on. There's lights on the device. And you can turn those lights off through the app if you don't want, maybe if you have it in your bedroom or something, you don't want the lights going while you're sleeping. You can open the app and turn the lights off. And if you turn the lights off, most people, even people at Coinmine, I'm like, this device is running. They're like, oh, really? I can't tell because I'll turn the lights off so they can't tell that it's running from the lights. And most people can't tell it's running from the noise.
Very cool. Now, let's say I have a device and I'm running it 24/7. Realistically, you can ballpark if everybody's setup is different, electricity and so forth. But how much could I potentially mine if I have it running 24/7?
So there's I think 2 sides to the question if I'm understanding it correctly. On the cost of electricity, it obviously depends on what you're paying per kilowatt hour. and where you have it plugged in. If you have it plugged in at your office or in your dorm, you're not paying anything for the electricity. And commercial electric rates are lower than residential electric rates, for example. So residential rates are the highest electric rates.
Sure.
And the country varies. It gets as high as 24, 25 cents a kilowatt hour in major cities, and it gets as low as 4, 5, 6 cents a kilowatt hour in some parts of the country. So on the really low end, you're probably talking about a couple bucks a month of electricity. And on the really high end, you're probably maybe talking about up to $8 or $10 a month of electricity if it's running 24/7.
Got it. That's not bad at all.
That's on the high end. Again, like getting the power. And we actually think we can reduce that even a little bit more over time, because there's things you can do with the device to reduce its power consumption even further, programmatically. But yeah, it's I think the average American's kilowatt hour is like 12 cents a kilowatt hour, and I think that puts it at around somewhere between middle of between $0 and $10 a month. But there's like tons of online you can like find out your own kilowatt rates from your electric company or your bill, and there's like really cool calculators that are simple. You can find out, you can get the wattage information on a Coinmine. I think it's somewhere between 160 and 180 watts. You can plug that in there, plug your kilowatt hours in, and it'll give you an exact number.
Cool. So how much could I potentially mine? Let's say I was mining Ethereum.
Yeah. So, difficulty changes a lot, obviously, over the course of crypto. And there's a few ways you think about this. So Ethereum, at its lowest, a Coinmine, I think, was making around, 0.8 or just around 1 Ethereum a year at some points. And I'm thinking over the last 12 months. At some points it was making, I think, 1.5, 1.6 Ethereum a year. It changes from Monero. When Monero forks and knocks all the ASICs off of it, all of a sudden your Coinmine's averaging, over 3 Ethereum, like around 3 Monero a year. Then when the ASICs come on, that comes down a little bit. And so that varies a lot. And then the other way to think about that too is, when new protocols come online, like take Grin, for example, or protocols that haven't even launched yet,
right.
You can you earn the most from those when they're new, because there's just not as much computing power on it. So that changes a lot. And the way we think about it, obviously we encourage everyone to think about this the way that makes sense for them. We wrote a whole article that was featured on Hacker Noon about the economics of powering crypto from home. And the thing that we learned for ourselves, and the way that we look at it, is that it's a low time preference activity. So if you have a very high time preference and you're wondering what the ROI is on a daily basis or a weekly basis, that's not how I think of it. And I probably wouldn't be that into it if I was thinking about it on a daily or weekly basis. When you start looking at it on a yearly basis, where people, tend to think of, good investing in anything, time and energy, whether you're investing your time or your money in anything in life, you should have a long-term view and a low time preference. And that's generally rewarded really well in crypto. Whether you're buying crypto or mining crypto, a low time preference is rewarded, and high time preferences are how you get wrecked. And in most situations, you couldn't. Most people are mining at home. They're doing it in a pool, and you can't sell what you mined that day at the end of that day.
Right.
So thinking about it from what did I do today perspective makes even, I think, less sense, because usually you can't even remove that crypto that day. You have to hit some threshold before you removed it. So if you're long-term bullish on crypto and you have a low time preference, I think it's a really great activity. If you're not long-term bullish on crypto and you have a high time preference, you may not want to do it. That's kind of how we think about it.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense. And I think because we're so early, I think, looking at it, like you said, from a daily or weekly basis doesn't make sense anyway. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, people may want to sell at different points, and that's their prerogative. But I think majority of us want to hold because we see the market's growing, the asset class is growing. And like you said, some of the new ones like Grin, you can really do well on. But My question along that, can you mine multiple cryptos at the same time with the machine?
That's a great question. So right now, it'll power one proof of work network at a time. When we release the Lightning node, it'll run the Lightning node while it's proof of work mining. It'll do those two at the same time. It'll depend on the different proof of stake networks, but it's also possible to both power a proof of work network and a proof of stake network at the same time.
Cool.
And then there's something called merged mining, which is sort of starting to become, I mean, it's existed forever. It's not been usually the best way to do it. It's usually, you've usually sort of done worse merged mining than mining a single coin. Merged mining is when you're mining two coins at the same time.
Yeah.
But that technology is actually picking up, and it's possible that this year or next year, merged mining will be possible, and we'll be able to do a software update to your Coinmine, and it can theoretically power, multiple proof of work networks at the same time. But that's still up in the air. And then, the other way to think about like Grin, for example, if you're really bullish on Grin, and you think, at some point a Grin is worth, who knows, maybe you think Grin takes over the global monetary supply. So maybe you don't care about your fiat bags anymore, and all you want to do is accumulate as much Grin as possible. Well, great. Just keep accumulating Grin and never sell it for dirty fiat money. But say you're like the rest of us, most of us, still living in a fiat world, and you do care about your fiat bags, which makes sense today. I think at least I still care about my fiat bag somewhat. I don't want to sell my Grin for $2.50. Yeah, or for $2. Especially if I'm bullish on Grin. I think, in a fiat world, Grin is still gonna get to be worth, $200 in like a year or two.
Right.
I'm gonna hold on to all my Grin that I make with my Coinmine, and then maybe I'll sell it later if I decide I still want dirty fiat money, but maybe I just hold on to my Grin forever.
Got it. So, which markets or areas is the product available to as far as being able to buy it? I'm assuming United States. Any other countries, or maybe Europe?
Yeah, so right now you can buy it anywhere. In some countries we're shipping direct to, and in countries where we're not yet shipping direct to, there are services that you can use that will basically you can buy something from the States, and those services will take care of all the tariffs and things like that. So if you don't see your country at checkout on our list, you'll be able to, you can just reach out to us and we can work with you to try and get you a Coinmine wherever you are. Cool.
Perfect. So what else could we expect from Coinmine, in the remainder of 2019, possibly into 2020?
Yeah, great question. So certainly, more protocols, Lightning node, Lightning network, some staking services, and then possibly some other services in the app. There are cool services like Compound Finance, BlockFi that give you a interest on your crypto.
Yep.
So one of the things we want people to be able to do right through the Coinmine app is again, maybe you want to keep your crypto with us, maybe you want to take it out, but if you want to keep it with us, you'll just be able to tap on something in the app, and now your device is investing the Ethereum that it's making with Compound Finance, and you're earning interest on your Ethereum. So you'll be able to access other services through the app as well.
Oh, wow. Very cool. I actually just interviewed the folks on BlockFi maybe about a month ago.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's cool. And that's great that you guys are offering that, another way to earn money essentially off your crypto.
Yeah, and pretty soon here we'll be announcing something around earning Bitcoin with your Coinmine.
Ah, okay. Well, I hope you come back when that's announced. I'm sure folks are going to be excited about that.
Thanks. We'd love to.
Cool. Final question here, and of course, this is not financial or investment advice, but it seems we are in a bull market now officially. So I would love to, hear or see your, from your perspective, what's your outlook on the market for the rest of 2019 into 2020?
That's a great question. I think we're still super early in crypto. I think about it a lot in terms of, late 90s internet, basically.
Yep.
And maybe even early 2000s internet when, at first people were like, oh, is the internet going to be a fad? The New York Times used to like to write about the internet as a fad, and they'd say things like it'll never be bigger than the fax machine. And they were really adamant about saying that no one will ever do business on the internet. So the degree to which a lot of people were incorrect about what the internet was going to do to the world, I think people that sort of the people who are anti-crypto are sort of equally wrong about what crypto is going to do. Now, I think that's going to take 5, 10, 20 years to really have its full impact. But if we look at where if we come back down to today, and in the short term, especially people like us, we're in crypto, we're thinking about it all the time. I think we don't realize how few people are really even that aware of it.
Yep.
And so I think 2019, we think we had these crazy bull runs and stuff, and when Bitcoin went to 20,000, and everybody's friends and family were asking them about Bitcoin. That for a lot of people, that was sort of the first time they were asking about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If you were a crypto person, you'd been talking about Bitcoin for years, but when the first crazy bull run happened, your friends and family sort of asked you about it the first time. A lot of times people take, in marketing, a lot of times people talk about how it takes, about 3 exposures to something at least for someone to really kind of get over the hump of it.
Yep.
So I think for a ton of people, this will be their first big exposure to Bitcoin and stuff if this bull run keeps going. And for a lot of other people, it'll be their second time. And for a lot of other people, it'll be their third time. So I think we're still scooping up a ton more people in each of these waves where the price comes down and the price goes back up. So I think we'll see a ton more adoption. I think the past 24 or 48 hours was the most or second biggest amount of transaction volume on Bitcoin ever.
Yep.
I'd take bets that we'll beat that again this year. This won't be, we'll have bigger volume transaction days in 2019 than we've ever had.
Agreed.
So what will the price be on those? Who knows? But, I think it's just getting bigger and bigger, and it's not going to stop or slow down anytime soon.
Awesome.
On a macro level.
Right. And I totally agree with your point. I talk about it all the time where you can make the analogy with the internet boom in the 90s, and it took time. There was dial-up days, and then it took a good amount of time before we were here at where we're at, where the internet's faster, better websites, better technology. So yeah, that totally makes sense. Farbood, a lot of insightful information. The Coinmine One device sounds great. And
thanks.
Everyone, if you would like to learn about the device and even purchase one, I'll put a link in the description. Also, Farbood and his team will provide a discount code, so definitely use that discount code. But Farbood, we'd love to have you back on, when you make additional updates to the device, especially around Bitcoin and so forth. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.